Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, I guess in all the hoopla yesterday with Judge, forgot to mention that the Red Sox also made a move as well, picking up reliever Kensley Jansen, you may recall, with the Dodgers, and then more recently with the Atlanta Braves. But really the big news concerning the Red Sox, of course, is the Xander Bogaerts bolting for San Diego. To the tune of $280 million, to the surprise of many Red Sox fans and just the media personnel around the Red Sox as well. Kind of surprised by this move. So we'll get into it in a moment. Before we do, wherever you listen to this, even if you're a Red Sox fan, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. A lot of stuff, I'm sure it's going to get getting heat hot and heavy as the off season goes on here and teams start retooling and making some trades and whatnot to prepare for the 2023 season. So, again, in all the hoopla of the Judge contract yesterday, I forgot to mention that, yes, they did pick up Jansen, the Red Sox, and, it's something they desperately actually needed. I mean, really for the past 3 seasons, that Red Sox bullpen has been kind of really weak for them, and kind of been, especially the closer role, just been a bit closer by committee, and, whose turn is it today? And just for the Red Sox organization in general, just kind of surprised they let that go for that long. Again, you probably have to go back to like 2020 that this has been a really big issue for the Red Sox, and they really didn't address it in 21 or 22. But finally, at least make the move now to get a legit closer in Jansen. So, that does affect the Yankees, in the games coming up for this, the 13 games they have scheduled coming up this season. But of course, the big news is Xander Bogaerts. Seemingly, I guess, after Judge didn't entertain really the San Diego offer. I guess they used that money they wanted to bring in somebody. So they go for Xander Bogaerts, which kind of just took everyone off guard. Everyone kind of figured that Bogaerts would, resign with the Red Sox. Maybe he was just looking for a better deal. And he did opt out of his current agreement with 3 years to go. But maybe he just wants a little more job, long-term security, which you kind of understand. But I guess I don't know what the situation was. It was a money issue or a years issue. But I guess he felt that it was better move off to San Diego. So this deal, it's $280 million for 11 years, so it's quite lengthy there, and kind of makes sense a little bit in certain ways because you hear as before the wake of the Judge deal with the Yankees, we're hearing that possibly San Diego was willing to go 10 years with Judge for $400 million. So they were willing to match the Yankees $40 million per year, but actually willing to go another year for $10 million. So. Now, again, I don't know if it was an official offer. It's kind of like, hey, just throwing out there, let you know if you want the 10 years, we'll give you the 10 years. So, now that the fact that they gave Xander Bogaerts, who's basically the same age as Judge, 11 years, that kind of makes it seem true that, yeah, maybe San Diego was willing to go 10 years on Judge. And then Judge, you guys got to, tip your cap to him. I guess he was willing to stay with the Yankees, even though it's 1 less year at 9 years. But it looks like he did turn down, I guess, an extra year to be out, to be with San Diego, but instead he decided he wanted to be with the Yankees. So, if you're a Yankee fan, you feel a good bit about that, and maybe you want to just hesitate a little bit next time you want to boo him for going 0 for 4 in a game with 3 strikeouts. But nevertheless, but yeah, now Bogaerts moving out there. Again, I mentioned before, he's 30 years old, so his contract's just definitely going to take him into the age of 40, 41. I don't know. I mean, look, I like Bogaerts. Objectively, he's a good player. Don't say bad about him. I just don't see him as a superstar type that you go that long with him. So I don't. I think the Padres, definitely went a little too far there. But maybe they were just so hell bent on bringing a big name in there once they struck out on Judge. And still, even with Bogaerts or whether Judge, you have a lineup that includes Manny Machado, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis Jr., who we forgot, even though he's dealing with that little PED issue there, but nevertheless, still a fearsome lineup once he is back in there with all of them in there. And again, it's kind of good news for the Yankees because now moves him out of the AL East. So now the Yankees don't have to worry about him anymore. Now, just before the Bogaerts deal, Boston did make another move, bringing in a Japanese import, Masataka Yoshida, outfielder. Now, he's not really highly touted, so it's not like a Shohei Ohtani situation. It's probably not going to be an Ichiro situation or even a Hideki Matsui situation. But, decent numbers enough. I guess, again, this is in the Japanese league. Last year hit .335 with 21 home runs. Relatively young still, 30 years old, same as Xander Bogaerts there. But this was a 5-year deal at $90 million. Plus, again, since they had to pay a posting fee to the Japanese league, actually that was an extra $15 million. So this deal in total cost the Red Sox $105 million. Again, which is probably much less than they would have to pay, anything involving Xander Bogaerts, but it's still kind of weird that they were willing to bring this guy in, but let Bogaerts walk there. So just a little kind of puzzling there. And now again, if you want to hear the tail of tape on this guy, again, I did mention he hit 335 last year, career 326. So you could say this is probably a guy who's probably going to be a legit 300 type hitter. You just want to see how the Japanese game translates here in America. So he's probably going to be around 300 as well, maybe a little bit under. So you probably look at maybe a 290 hitter, maybe, which is okay. Is he going to hit 21 home runs here? Doubtful. Man, if he's hitting 21 home runs over in Japan, you probably look at him as a guy with maybe about maybe 14, 15 home runs he gets here. So decent outfield like that. But I don't think it's anything to be shaking your boots about. Again, there's whatever scouting report you hear on this guy, a lot of them saying pretty much the Red Sox overpaid a little bit for him, but you don't get any sort of feedback or any sort of inkling that this is going to be like an Ohtani or Suzuki game changer type of player. So just whatever. This seems like just a very good. This is a good pickup. That's it. Nothing great. Nothing stupendous. I don't really think it makes any bearing more or less. It's probably a bigger blow that they lost Bogaerts and they brought this guy aboard there. So that's really it in Red Sox land. Just kind of want to make those things there. So they bolstered up their bullpen a little bit, bring in Jansen. It's still not really the greatest bullpens in the world, but still much better with now they actually have a legit closer. Something they really haven't had in almost like 3 or 4 seasons already. So they got that settled away. They lose Bogaerts, so again that helps the Yankees. And of course they bring in Yoshida, which maybe helps them in some way. Not sure why, but I guess out of all this, if you're a Yankee fan, you just look at the fact that San Diego probably, was somewhat serious about obtaining Judge and was willing to go the 10 years, but Judge was willing to take, I'll take the same $40 million per year, but you don't have to give me 10 years. I'll stay here for 9, which again, you get to see that, I guess his desire to want to stay in pinstripes, which you kind of felt it was the whole way. I mean, we've all seen the images of him kissing the pinstripes on his shirt in the dugout and pointing to his shirt and wearing these sweatshirts like New York or nothing and all that stuff. So you're not really shocked, but that's that. So that's what we got for you for talking Yankees, even though this will a little more talking Red Sox, but it does affect the Yankees. So, it is worthy mentioning. So catch you next time.